Okay, I see the clock started, so I guess that's time to get going. Welcome to Synergy 137, M&As Made Easy with Citrix Workspace. My name's Kevin Binder. I'm on the Workspace product marketing team, and I'm joined by Suzanne Dixon, also on the Workspace product marketing team. So we're going to do a tag team effort here through the presentation. So first of all, thanks for joining. And before we get going, one of the things that I want to suggest to you is you can actually expand your thinking a little bit beyond M&As for a lot of the concepts that we're going to be talking about. New employees, maybe you've got contract employees that you want to get up and going faster. So there's a lot of good stuff in here that's M&A specific, but also you can think about it a little bit more broadly as we talk about some of the benefits of the Citrix Workspace. This is a slide you may have already seen in a couple of your sessions this week. Of course, we had the big announcement at the keynote on Tuesday talking about workspace intelligence. Last year, we made the big announcement with Workspace app, and this year we've taken it one step further to workspace intelligence. And the ultimate goal is to solve some of the key problems our customers are facing. And they're facing these problems with their normal employees. They're facing these problems during M&A as well. And some of these issues we're seeing is too many apps, right? The average worker uses 8 apps a day. The average enterprise has over 500 apps that they publish. And so what we're able to do with our working product today, the Citrix Workspace app today, is really help users organize their work. We have a single window that we call Workspace app, and through that window, they can access all of their apps, regardless of where they're located or what type of app it is, and they can access all of their files and data, regardless of where those live as well. So from an organization standpoint, we're helping our customers organize their work today. Where we want to take that one step further is helping to guide them and helping to automate their workday, addressing more problems, right? The complexity problem. The example we like to use is a great big printer that's got 100 buttons. And most of us only use one button on the printer, the big green button. And so we want to give more of these big green button experiences and help guide our users through their workday and sort of try to reduce some of those distractions of having to navigate a big, complex application. And lastly, too much busy work. As workers, we're hired to do a job, and where there are things that we want to get done, and so we want to try to minimize the time we spend on what I call maintenance mode, requesting time off, doing approvals, interacting with the workdays and the concurs. So if we can reduce some of that busy work and take advantage of automation, which is sort of the third step here, which is coming with the workspace intelligence, which is using virtual assistance capabilities to help automate some of those workflows. Think of it like Alexa, right? For those of us that have Alexa, we probably learn every day new things that Alexa can do for us. And every time Alexa can do those things, now we're sort of reprogrammed to use Alexa. And no longer do we have to take multiple steps to find information. She can find it for us. So the concept is similar. And we want to apply all these to how we look at M&As, because when you look at an M&A, it's really about how can we get people working and productive quickly. If you ask a company what's probably the most challenging part about an M&A, it's how do we integrate one set of systems of records with one IT organization with another. That's sort of the bulk of the work, and a lot of time that's what defines a success. But I think if you ask the user how they would define what a successful M&A is, I think the answer would be a successful M&A to me is something that's not going to disrupt what I'm doing. We want to keep our newly acquired employees, we want them to keep on trucking, if you will, and we don't want to slow them down with having to learn new systems and new applications. In doing some of the research as I prepared for this presentation, I came across the concept of a productivity tax. And having a few jobs myself, this actually really resonated with me, and I could relate to it. If you look at the first month of where an employee is working, they're only really spending 25% of time on what you hired them to do. They're spending 75% of the time trying to figure out new systems and trying to figure out how the new processes work. Week 5 to 12, even 3 months into the job, they're still only 50% productive. And even after 5 months, now they're still only 75% productive. They say it takes up to a year and a half for an employee to be fully productive. And so what we want to try and do is if we can shorten that curve, right, and accelerate their time to productivity, we can maximize the value to the company and have them spending more time doing what they were hired to do. Another example I like to use, if we start talking about all of these applications people have to use. If you're working for company A, you may be using one system of record for your CRM. Maybe one company is using Salesforce, your new company is using Zoho. I use this as an example. HR, maybe one's using SAP, maybe one's using Workday. So the list goes on. And if we look at a typical workforce, for example, one analogy I like to use here is, we've got different generations of workers, right? And some generations of workers, it might be much easier for them to learn a new app. Other generations of workers maybe are execs, asking an executive to learn, to navigate their way and work within a new application is asking a lot of them, and we're paying them a lot of money to do their job. So we want to try and reduce that. Another example, I used to work on our Citrix endpoint management product marketing team, and we got a product called Secure Mail. Does anyone use Secure Mail in the audience? All right, oh, nice. But I always thought it was funny that we would get questions all the time. Such and such customer is at, and Secure Mail, for those you don't know, is a mobile app. It's our secure mobile email client. And I always thought it was funny. We get requests from customers all the time. Is, hey, our execs are wondering if you have a manual for Secure Mail. And we always thought that was funny because most of the time you don't need a manual for a mobile app. The way most people learn a mobile app is you start playing around, you look at the settings, you see what you can turn on and off. And so we want to keep this in mind when we're trying to manage the number of applications people have to use and how they interact with that, and be sensitive to the fact that people have different learning curves. I gave this stat earlier. The average employee uses over 9 apps on a daily basis, and a lot more than that, over the course of a week. So if we want to measure what's a successful M&A, we're going to break this presentation down into 3 sections. The first one that Suzanne's going to take is how can we be ready on day 1 and get our workers up to speed as quickly as possible. The second thing we're going to talk about is how do we bridge the past with the future? The company A, old app, company B, new apps. How do we decide which apps to use, and how do we get through that period of time where we're using both? And then secondly, we want to match up what are our overall business objectives and how can technology, and specifically Citrix, help bridge that gap and bring some of those ecosystems together. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Suzanne.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, so what I want to take you through is day 1 for the employee, right? So oftentimes that has to do with the onboarding process, right? And so a lot of the research that we've collected shows that if you can provide your employees a better onboarding experience, right, they're more likely to stay with the company and they're going to be more productive faster. So I'm going to walk you through sort of a scenario of a new employee, right? The company just got acquired. So Gene works for a relatively small company, and so he brings his own laptop, right? And they use Yahoo Mail. So for Gene, his onboard experience is something like this. The HR manager from the company that's just acquired his can send him an email, right? They have his email from his current email system and say, hey, Gene, welcome to the company. We want to make things easy for you and so that you can be productive on day 1. All you really have to do is click on this link, and I'm going to kind of fake it. But once he clicks on that link, she's given him some credentials to log into the new company, right, Acme Core system. He launches the Workspace app. And so the good thing about the Workspace app is that in this case, it's running as, it's a browser-based version of the Workspace app. We have other versions as well for different platforms, but in this case, all he had to do was click, right, opens up his local browser, Workspace app opens, he punches in, types in the information, the credentials that she gave him in the email. And then at that point, Gene now has access to his personal workspace, right? So all the applications that he has to start using as part of Acme is there. So if you think about it, nobody had to tell Gene, go set up an account, right, with this HR application, right? Or for Salesforce if he's in sales, right? All of that's been done for him behind the scenes, and he has his personal workspace experience, and that experience, it's going to be the same whether it's on his BYOD laptop or on his BYOD smartphone, right? So it's that seamless, right? It's that easy to have set up. And so obviously, in terms of understanding what was kind of involved in this, there's the workspace app itself, and again, in this scenario, it was a browser-based, but we have clients, right, for Windows, for desktop, for iOS, Android, a lot of the mobile devices, and so in those cases, they could download it, say, even from the public app store. But we wanted, in this example, to make it easy. Didn't even have to go to a public app store and do any of that. So Microsoft, the Workspace app, is his primary, right, client that he's using to get access to the applications. And the other thing that's behind the scenes is all the SSO capabilities that we have, and this is through our networking solutions. So again, he didn't have to set up all the separate accounts, and he's not going to have to at this point moving forward, and Kevin will get into this, enter in different passwords, logins, and none of that, right? It's all gone. And then from an app performance perspective, if you're not using SD-WAN, particularly in cases of if you've acquired new companies or in different locations, et cetera, from a user experience, right, or SD-WAN, it's just going to optimize things like the network traffic, right, and make that user experience a lot better. At the same time, Gene can still have access to his old systems, right? His old, if you remember again, he's got a BYOD laptop, so from that laptop he can still use old applications while the IT groups, right, make that transition in the background, so he can still have access to some of this legacy information. And then obviously from a business side, right, this just means that that experience is better, so you're going to have less employee turnover, faster time, right, for them to hit the ground running. Okay, and I'm going to give it back to Kevin, and he's going to step you through the second part.
Yeah. Okay, so the second thing then we want to think about is, originally the slide said bridging to the future, and then when I thought about it, I said, well, it actually should be bridging to the future and bridging to the past, because you've got workers working for company A that may be working for company B, and so not only do you need to have access to the systems of your new employer, the new employer may actually need access to data and reports and information and applications for the company that's being acquired. So it's really important that we've got a system and a platform that allows us to easily let old users access new stuff and users from the new company access the old stuff. And when we look at like what a typical merger might look like and what the time frame looks like, there's going to be a period of time when we need access to both sides of applications. And so there's going to be this hybrid period where they'll need access to both. And the company that got acquired, maybe their technology is better. I guess there's a term called a techquisition. And so, maybe the new company likes the way the old company is doing it, or likes the SaaS app that the old company is using. So, we want to be able to easily make that available and sort of transition through this hybrid period that they say can take up to, 12 to as much as 18 months. If we look at some specific examples of how the Citrix Workspace can help in this area, at the top of the list, our content collaboration solution. This is a great screenshot to show sort of the comprehensive nature of our solution. We've got, company A is going to have a number of data sources. It's rare that companies will have all their data and all their files located in one place. They're going to have files in multiple places. The new company is going to have files in multiple places. Our content collaboration solution can help bring that all together and sort of deliver all that data through a single experience. Of course, the bread and butter of what we do at Citrix, app and desktop, You know, with our app and desktop, now we can easily publish applications for new users, publish applications for old users, have everyone accessing that stuff through a single window. And when we talk about employee experience and making things simple and helping users be more productive, I think it was a stat from Business Wire where they said 67% of employees said if I could do most of my work through a single window, I'd be a lot more productive. And that's sort of, you know, the vision and what we're able to deliver with the Citrix Workspace, which is a single window that you can get everything through. You know, there's a lot of people in the market who call themselves a workspace vendor. You know, Dropbox calls what they do a workspace. Okta calls what they do a workspace. You know, other companies have workspaces. We feel like there's a number of things that are required to deliver a full workspace, and it's, you know, apps and desktops, it's access to files, it's, you know, support for modern apps like SaaS, and comprehensive management and analytics around the whole thing. And if you look at what sort of some fragmented user experiences could look like, you know, I'll just give an example. Let's say a company uses Citrix for virtual apps and desktops. And then let's say they use Okta to deliver single sign-on to SaaS. And then let's suppose they use Dropbox to deliver their files. And then maybe use something. That's 4 separate windows that we're asking our users to do their work from. That's not a great experience. And so really only Citrix in our workspace can bring all this together to a single experience for the user. And you know, if you haven't seen a demonstration of how easy it is to publish a SaaS app and add some of what we call our SaaS controls, the ability to put a watermark or restrict, cut, copy, and paste, it literally takes a couple of minutes, and it's quite powerful to see in person. So if you've got time, I would encourage you to check out how we can publish a SaaS app and add some of those additional security policies. Well, I got a little bit ahead of myself on the build. So yeah, our single window to access all of your apps, desktops, and files, and then the single sign-on to SaaS. So what is the business value that we're bringing and the business value that we're driving through this? Number one thing is minimize customer churn, and that employee churn might be a better term there. We talked earlier about getting workers productive and then keeping them at that productive level for as long as possible before they either move on to a different company or decide to do something else. That's sort of what we call the lifetime value of an employee. And we want to maximize that lifetime value and have them in that productive mode as long as possible. So whenever a merger or an acquisition takes place, we know that sometimes that's an opportunity where good employees are lost. Maybe they want a new opportunity, but we want to make sure we're focusing on employee experience. It's an analogy I like to use is the Amazon analogy. Most of us don't buy anything from Amazon unless we look at the ratings, right? Are other people buying it? Do they like it? What are their comments about it? And where we work is now almost as easy to research, right? There are all sorts of places you can go to find out what's it like to work at Citrix? What's it like to work at Google? What's it like to work at Apple? And so employees have choices, and so we want to make sure that we're delivering the best experience possible, and especially in a time of transition, you know, you can imagine employees are probably already a little bit nervous about, is my position still going to be here? Is my position going to go away? Yes, I'm here on day 1. Am I going to be here on day 30? And so we want to minimize customer churn, give them a great experience, and we don't want that to have a negative impact on them. The second bullet here about maintaining compliance and document access, I touched about this on the last slide. We look at our content solution, the artist formerly known as ShareFile. You know, we can look at that as an umbrella for delivering data and delivering files. So we can pull things in from various data stores and apply an umbrella of security and accounting to those documents that you wouldn't have before. So we can see who's downloading documents, when they're downloading documents. We can make documents available for just a certain period of time and then have links expire. So being able to have sort of this secure umbrella for the accounting is a major advantage as we're combining two companies and want to make sure that we're keeping all of that data secure as possible. And then the last thing is if we can leverage the Citrix solutions to help buy us time to figure out which apps do we want to keep and which apps do we want to go. We're not necessarily going to keep all the apps of the acquiring company. Maybe we want to start using some of the stuff the other company, but it's going to take a little bit of time to figure that out. So as we're in that period, a solution like Citrix Workspace is going to make that a lot easier. Now, the last slide here of this section, this is the workspace intelligence stuff. What if your new users didn't have to learn to navigate a new application? And that's the real value there. We're adding workspace intelligence, we've got the intelligent feed, and we want to make this process also as easy as possible. One of the things that I've heard a lot this week for customers that have come by the booth is that, wow, this stuff is really great. I'm actually still a little bit behind. I still sort of have the receiver experience, so I need to get Workspace app, and now I want the new intelligence stuff too. And so I feel like some of our customers might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed, but we want to make it easy for them to get to point A to point B and understand that there are different paths that you can take. And one of the ways we want to make it easier to start turning on and taking advantage of some of these services is with these micro apps. We're going to have over 100 micro app action templates right out of the box. So, the most common SaaS apps, the Salesforce, the Workdays, the SAPs, the Tableau, all those templates are going to be there when we launch the product later this year. We've also built what we call a micro app builder, and we're demonstrating this over in the booth. The micro app builder is a codeless way to sort of drag and drop objects and build what we call these cards, right? A proven expense report, and then the blades, which is a proven expense report but more information, right? The micro app builder is going to help you build those quickly and easily. So we want everyone to embrace the new technology, but we want it to be easy for you to implement as well. There's the blade there. And then the last slide is being able to take action and having sort of one place to go to take action. Not everything, lots of stuff's going to be pushed through the feed, but what if you want to do something that's not pushed to you? What if you want to request time off, or what if you want to file an expense report? We've got a whole page of actions where you can go to the page, find the action you want to take that action without actually having to leave what you're doing and interact with a new with the new app. An example here at the top left, say, hey, maybe I want to create an event that's going to show up in my Google Calendar. I don't want to toggle away from my workspace. I can click on that button, quickly enter the relative information, and those will sync with the system of record, which would be the G Suite. So for the final section here, I'm going to hand it back to Suzanne to talk about meeting business objectives.
Okay, so hopefully a lot of this information that we're trying to provide you, we know a lot of you are in situations where you've got to talk to your manager, kind of rationalize, right, why should we look at the workspace intelligence? How's this really going to benefit our company? So hopefully you can take some of this data and share it with your executives, right? But so I think a lot of things that we're seeing is with a better M&A, right? Really, I think the biggest one is really that employee retention, right? Because I think you probably heard in the keynote about how difficult it is today to find talent. And so by giving the users a better experience, you're going to have a lot higher likelihood of keeping that employee on board. The other thing is the flexibility too for you to be more agile, right? You're being asked to do more, right? Your company's growing faster. And so with the Citrix, a lot of stuff that you've seen, right, us show, we're able to deliver through the Citrix cloud, if you will. A lot of these services are cloud services. But so one common misperception I just want to kind of briefly touch on is that if you're running your virtual apps and desktops, those workloads can still stay on-prem, right? It doesn't matter if you have them on-prem. If you want to move into the cloud, You can move them to the cloud as well. You can have a hybrid mode as well. So really with the Citrix Workspace, in terms of the management piece of it, that's the main thing that's delivered as a cloud service. Some of the other things that we were showing, like the content collaboration, that's a cloud service. But as far as I think a lot of customers get concerned that, well, if I have to have the workspace, that means I've got to move my virtual workloads to the cloud, and that's not the case. You can keep them on-prem. Really, it's the management of your virtual apps and desktop environment that's moving to the cloud. And we provide the flexibility so that your workloads, if you do decide to move them, you can move them anywhere to any of the clouds. The other thing, as far as from a, talked a lot about sort of the accelerate time to value, but also from an employee, right, from HR. This is one key area where if you need to find advocates, you're going to find them there, right, in terms of justifications for something like this. There's a lot more attention focus these days in terms of employee engagement. And I think the other thing about the workspace too that we really didn't touch on a lot is just the security advantages. Kevin talked a little bit about some of the secure SSO capabilities, but the workspace, because it's a work platform, the benefit is that a lot of the information that we're gathering, like whether it's about access or whether it's about network and suspicious web traffic, right? All of that's being aggregated through all the individual services that were provided. And so it's the value really is in the correlation, right, of all that information that's going to benefit your security teams, right? Okay. And the last slide, this just kind of touches more in terms of the flexibility for the cloud support that we have. Okay, so some key areas. So workspace, a lot of people wonder what the workspace is. It is really sort of a comprehensive, right, solution where we're leveraging all the different capabilities across the Citrix portfolio from the workspace app, right? You saw the browser version, you've got the other app version, the networking, which really provides both the security, the app performance, and then the analytics. And so the analytics, we have the security analytics I mentioned, and then hopefully in the keynote, and if you haven't had a chance, we're also introducing the performance analytics. And so the performance analytics is just going to start to give you much richer information about what's causing, how do I improve the user experience, right? So same concept with security from a performance perspective. We're starting out with performance that's related to the virtual apps and desktop, but if you again, understand the fact that we're also providing some of the network information, right? You're going to be able to better troubleshoot what's really causing a poor user experience. Is it the application server, right? Is it really the network traffic? And so the benefit, again, of the analytics is that it's pulling and aggregating all this information across all the different services. Okay, so just wanted to kind of wrap up with a key takeaway. So again, with Citrix Workspace app, it's going to make it easy for you to give your users access to all their apps and data, but more importantly, simplify their day-to-day tasks, right? So they're not having to learn a new app and all the details about it, right? And as we improve upon the intelligence, some of the stuff that Kevin talked about, like the virtual assistants, it's just going to get smarter and smarter. At the same time, through in a M&A situation, if you virtualize a lot of the existing systems, right, the user can still stay productive, trying to get up to speed with the new stuff while they have access to their old stuff. And I think that's it. So I was just checking to see if there was anything on the specific thing that we should call out. Losing track because this is the last day.
So a couple resources here. If you want to check out some presentations after Synergy, we're going to have those available to you. We've got some time here at the end, a little bit of time to kill. So if anyone has questions, we can take some questions. I did want to go back to one of the last slides where we talked about the Citrix as a platform, and I really want to sort of stress that I think it's really important that we think about Citrix Workspace more as a platform rather than we've thought about it in the past, because particularly with mergers and acquisitions, what you're able to do with Citrix Workspace is if consuming it as a platform, what you end up with is a static layer for management, a static layer for analytics. You've got user experience across the board, which we call our Workspace app. And once you've got sort of those platform layers in place, it makes it a lot easier to start lighting up various Workspace services as you need to. So if you want to add UEM for a specific group of users, if you want to add content collaboration for a specific group of users, or you want to do access control for a specific group of users, it's a lot easier to light those up and start turning those on when you already have some of those platform layers in place. So as it relates to M&A, right, it's important to be agile. Agility is probably more important than anything if you're working for a company that's doing a lot of M&A. And so looking at Workspace and sort of setting your path for the next 2 to 3 years and deciding on a platform that you like and that's going to have all those layers and deliver all those use cases you're looking for, I think is really important.
Great. So thank you. That's the end of the formal presentation. You're welcome to use the mic if you have any questions for us. We're happy to take them. No? Okay. Well, I guess this is when they start the music then. So thank you very much for attending. Appreciate
Thank you.
it.